Aileen Uys from Entecom in the Western Cape, and welcome to today's podcast. We work with many food companies in the industry, from small to very big, and often the question comes up, what qualification or skills should a quality manager or team leader have? And do they need to be proper food scientists, food technologists with degrees? Or can one use someone without these formal qualifications and then train them up to be food safety managers? Just the other day, a company that we work with, the quality manager left, and the question was, can they train up the assistant who perhaps didn't have the qualifications but is very keen and knows the process? Or do they now need to look for a qualified food scientist or technologist with a degree? And then we also get the smaller companies who have now grown and they need help to run the food safety system. We help them to write job ads, but the question is always, what skill set should this person have? Do they need to have a degree, or what do you need? We will be discussing these questions with Janice, who has some suggestions and shares some thoughts with us on this topic. So Janice, you've been working in the industry for many years. What is your opinion on the matter?
That's a great topic, and it's one that people always face at the crossroads when they have to think about who they need to employ in this position. And Aileen, it depends on how complicated that company's processes are and whether it's a very technical environment, that requires that technical skill, because then you would need somebody with a science-based qualification, a food scientist or food technologist, and we would always recommend that they look at that. If they can afford that, that's definitely the first prize. However, if there is somebody in the team that already has those technical skills and you have identified somebody in your team that understands the processes, has been around for quite some time, and who would actually make a very good food safety team leader, then those skills within the team could could offer the technical support to that team leader, and that team leader could acquire the food safety knowledge and food safety related training through short courses to supplement their knowledge base, and they might end up being very good food safety team leaders, and collectively the team will be very strong then.
And personality-wise, Janice, do you think there's a specific type of person who would be really good at this type of position? What's your thoughts on personalities?
I think it's so important to have the right personality. I've seen team leaders who are just incredible in their jobs without any tertiary or technical qualifications, simply because they have the ability to motivate their staff to actually do the right thing. And so you need somebody who is a good team worker, who likes working in a team. You need somebody who you can leave on their own, that can fairly independent, manage themselves fairly well, but also somebody who's hungry to learn more, somebody who's willing to research their topic, who's also inquisitive, somebody who's willing to run up and down ladders, climb up ladders and look inside hatches. This is a sort of person who's very active, who wants to participate in the production environment, who wants to get intimate with the subject, who doesn't mind going home smelling like guava. And so understands also, if they work in a guava manufacturing plant, that they're going to end up having guava pips all over them and smelling like guava. So glamour isn't part of the job. If you're working in the food environment as a food safety manager, you probably have to wear hairnets and live in your safety boots, which aren't very glamorous. So having pencil skirts and high heels, that shouldn't really be part of what you think you're going to look like. So
Flip-flops.
Yeah. So these are people that are really wanting to contribute. They have a sense of purpose. They know what's right in the business. They know that they can hold up that red flag confidently, and they're not scared of being unpopular. And it is quite tough for young people, food safety managers who are working with older managers, to actually make a stand and just say, look, this is out of spec and this is wrong, and you believe that it needs to go on hold. That requires guts, but also then, they need to be supported when that decision is made. So it's not an easy job. It does require quite a big skill set, you can't expect somebody, some people often think, okay, well, if they're good with paper and they're good with an admin type, position, then you can just take your secretary and throw them in as food safety managers. They just, but there's far more to it, to being a food safety manager. You need to be able to handle stress. You need to be reliable. You need to be able to pitch on the day of the audit and not ditch when the pressure's on. You have to be able to face meetings where there's a lot of debate, and you need to be professional in terms of how you present yourself at a management review. And at the same time, you need to be able to relate to factory staff. So this is a skill set that's quite broad.
Yeah, it's so interesting. I remember when I started out as a quality manager. I was young, and it was so hard to stand up against the big maintenance guys or production
Yeah.
or to train all these staff. So it really takes a specific type of personality to be able to do all of this.
Things can get quite tense, eh? And I mean, if you're working in a laboratory, you have a laboratory staff, and you're the food safety manager as well that's looking after this lab, and the lab analysts have a result, and the result indicates that the batch is out of spec, but this customer really needs the product. The production is under pressure to get the product out, and you are the bad person who says that this has to go on hold, and you've got to stand up for yourself, and it's not pleasant, right? Especially when you're very young and you're new. It's tough, but that's where you need the support from the rest of the team, and you need a direct line of communication to the general manager or managing director, where they can support you. And after all, you were employed actually for that specific role to actually say this is wrong, so that's your job, and you should know that you're not going to be popular most of the time. It's a difficult job. Yeah,
very difficult. So Janice, I want to go back to the employee that you maybe upskill, and you mentioned they can do maybe short courses and workshops, but I know my clients will say this is going to take a lot of investments and money to train this person. So what happens if they leave?
Yeah. You always have that risk in any business where you have to upskill somebody. You need to be prepared that after you've invested in them, if they're ready, and normally they would have all the skill sets that they needed, the environment, possibly that there might not be anything wrong in the environment, you're not doing anything wrong, they're happy in the environment, but they just need to explore further, then it's good. You played that role, you contributed towards their growth, and you should feel good about that, and I think you should make peace with that might happen. But remember, you've got to look at succession planning as a business owner. You've got to look at who else in your team alongside that person, that staff member, are you going to develop? Because if that person is sick or goes on leave, you need to have backup in any case. So succession planning is imperative in your business. Yeah, make peace with it, and realize that you're contributing towards somebody else's career. And if you're supportive of them, if you're acknowledging their contribution, maybe they'll want to stay, and you can use them in a production position later on, or in a further managerial position. So yeah, make peace with it. That's what I say. Yeah.
Thanks, Janice. It's really a lot of food for thought. So, in summary, I would say key takeaway notes are the qualification of this quality manager, food safety team leader. It depends on the business and I would say how technical the process is. And if you can't afford a qualified food scientist or technologist, then you can really look at upskilling someone, maybe a current employee, or maybe you can even look at students from universities. But something that really stood out for me from this discussion was to get the right personality. Really to get someone that fits the role, someone that fits your brand and your culture, then you can't go wrong. So we will be discussing this topic further to see what other skills will be required by the food safety team leader when they find themselves having to manage teams and all the other new challenges that will come up with this role in our July podcast. So stay tuned as we unpack this further.